Welcome to another video, and today I'm gonna show you 50 Valorant tactics. Some people might think right now, what? 50 tactics? Are there even 50 tactics in game? Yes, my friends, they might not all be that good, but most of these tactics are very usable, and I hope that after this video you can apply some of these in game. Now sit back, relax and enjoy the video. First tactic, the default play. Maybe one of the most boring tactics, but on the attacker side, every player holds an angle, hopes that the enemy pushes into their crosshair, wait till a teammate gets a pick, and after that make a new game plan. A more fun tactic is the wombo combo. With this tactic you combine two very good abilities, like a Sage Slow and a Brimstone ultimate, use them on a spot where you think the enemies might be, and the enemy will have no counterplay to it. The orb play. With this play you try to take as many orbs on the map. This play is especially good if you want to get a bit more value out of eco rounds, or if you see that your ultimate is almost ready and you want to use it in the same round, like I did over here. Zoom kills. Here we go, boys. Next one, the anti-flash. There are some common spots in Valorant where players like to flash and peek. Often these are long hallways like B main on bind. With the anti-flash you're gonna counter that flash player. You need two people, let one guy push up a little and the other one stays behind. If the enemy is flashing, he will dodge that flash and then get the enemy before your teammate is killed. Anti-flash. Next one, a fake push. With this tactic you take the spike and around 3 agents to one side and let 2 players go to the other side. Those 2 players make a lot of sound on B for example, and when the enemies are rotating then the rest pushes on A. Something that looks a lot like the fake aside tactic is the decoy tactic. With this one you go with your team to one side, but before you push you use some abilities to the other side. For example, if you want to push A on ascent, use a sofa arrow and some Astra stars on B. The goal of this tactic, hopefully one of the enemies will rotate and then you get the side for free. This is something that happened in this round over here. Sofa used this arrow on B. We heard that the enemies ran away.
Jet running away.
And that's how we entered the side easy peasy.
That Sofa he worked in this round.
The red camp. I don't think I need to explain this one. Just play as a sneaky red and sometimes you get a sneaky kill.
Nice one.
Then we have the Pokemon or Pocket Sage tactic. With this tactic you play Sage, you pick out a good teammate, often a duelist, and then you gotta follow the duelist everywhere like a Pokemon. If he gets hit, you heal him. If he dies, you place your wall and use your ultimate. There's even a gravity of this tactic, very cool. Plant for money. You probably have your teammate heard saying that. This one is for when you're probably gonna lose that round because it's a 1 versus 4 or something. So the only thing you can do is try to plant the spike and get those extra credits for your teammates. One thing you gotta remember is that it's also possible to plant for money after the round is over. If you kill the last guy, you have about 3 seconds to plant the spike for extra bonus money. Another tactic that you can use when you are almost certain that you're gonna lose the round is to save. This means that you're not gonna pick any fights, but you're gonna hide somewhere on the map, hope that the timer runs out before the enemies can find you, and then keep the gun you have in the next round. This one is often used with operators. Now look at this clip.
A lot.
What? Was weiter! Using crouch to duck under bullets. Is the good tactic? I'm not sure, but it worked for Neon. Now let's talk about the remake tactic. Sometimes you look at the scoreboard and you see that one enemy did not connect. The first round goes on, you get 4 enemies and you see the last enemy standing in spawn. With the remake tactic, you purposely don't kill the last enemy and hope he reconnects before the second round starts. Why do you want to do this? Well, if this player reconnects before the second round starts, you basically got 1 free round win because it was a 5 versus 4, and because of this round your economy is better and you just have more chance to win the game. Next one, die on purpose. What? Die on purpose? How is that a Valorant tactic? Well, my friends, there are 2 reasons why it might be useful to do this on purpose. The first one is on the defender side. If the enemies have planted the spike and you stay alive, you only get 1000 credits. This is way less credits than if you die, so if you only have a shorty for example, it's better to just walk into the spike range. The second reason is a bit more situational, but if you got a lot of money and you want to get an ultimate point, it's sometimes worth it to go for an aggressive peek even though you're very low HP, and then either get a kill and get that point or die and get that point. A thing to keep in mind in this situation though is to only peek after the round is over, and if you know for sure that the enemy is on a buy round next round, or you'll just give them a free gun and that's no bueno. Next tactic, Ninja Defuse. I think most of us know this tactic by now. When there are multiple enemies alive, try to stick the defuse anyway and hope you defuse before the enemies get to you.
GG, bro.
Remaining.
There's no way that I...
Oh my god.
Easy peasy watermelon. Next up on the list we have the lurk player. This is when your team pushes one side, but one player goes on a big side quest and tries to get sneaky kills somewhere else on the map. A tip before that lurker, your ears and timing is everything. Something that's very similar to a lurk player but still is kinda different is the flanker. Usually this player pushes with their team to a side, and after they got the side, then that player goes on a solo mission in the hope to get behind the enemies before they defuse the spike and then get them.
One enemy remaining.
Nice, okay.
Flanking is also a tactic that a lot of defender players will do. If the enemies are pushing B on split, for example, instead of letting everyone retake from over here, sometimes 1 or 2 players will flank around and go through B main. Another strategy related to flanking is the flank/lurk catcher. This is when someone of your team delays the rotate to catch the flanker or the lurker. Usually this will either be Cypher, Killjoy or Chamber, because with their abilities they can get info about the enemy lurker. I hope this crazy interception tactic doesn't hurt your brain. Luckily the next tactic is a bit simpler, rush B no stop. I think we all know this tactic by now. If your teammate says this, you're gonna rush B and you don't stop. If rush B no stop exists, is rush A no stop a thing or rush C no stop a thing? No my friends, it's always B. If you gotta rush, you rush to the B side. Now let's talk about swing off each other. I think this is one of the most effective Valorant tactics out there. With this one you play with your teammate, and as soon as one of the players sees an enemy, the other one's gonna peek from a different angle, and you basically always get a kill.
He's here. Nice.
That's it, abstract. Nice swing. Nice swing.
About swings, the next tactic is the crazy swing tactic. This is more sort of a troll tactic, I guess, but for some players it really works. I'm talking about the Mr. Crab swing, the moonwalk swing, the gritty swing. Shout out to Ziptype for creating a lot of these plays. And you also have crazy peeks with other agents like the finger peek with Jet. Fun tactics to troll the enemies. And while we're talking about content creator tactics, I'll give you 3 short ones. We have the high sage walls, made popular by content creators like Grim and Flow Ascending.
Use it.
We have the satchel jumps, shout out to Grey FPS and Flights. Sneaky Acre the dog plays.
Yes.
And the Jet super boost, shout out to How to Noodle.
So we don't think mid.
Nice.
Let's move on to the next tactic, and that's the ability spam tactic. This is when you and a few teammates decide to use your abilities as soon as the barriers are going down. This is often done at choke points where enemies like to push immediately, like over here on Lotus.
One enemy remaining.
Another fun tactic that some teams are using is knife only mid. This usually occurs when one team is very far behind, people don't want to play the game anymore, so they decide to have some fun and knife mid. Also, never pull out your gun in those fights or you'll be very disrespectful. Next one is very common, the split push. This is when you push a side with your teammates, a few players go through main and a few players go through short or mid. Like in this example on Breeze, here you see 3 people going through main and through to middle. Now let's talk about something I call the prepared push. The idea of this type of push is that you prepare something before the game starts. In the custom game, for example, with 5 of your teammates. And then when you're in game, use all the ability combinations that you prepared. This is something that a lot of professional teams do, or 5 stacks in Premiere. Just take a look at this next clip. I showed it before, but all the abilities are working so clean in harmony. Oh, this is so clean.
Nice.
Mark je up, eh?
I'm pushing. Let's go.
And just like that, we got the side, easy peasy. Eco rounds. I think we all know this tactic. An eco round is when you and your team decide to buy lightly, or in some situations, don't buy anything at all, so you save money for the next round. Another tactic around the economy is the force buy. This is when you and your team don't have enough money to buy fully, you know, all the abilities with a good gun and good armor, but you decide to buy anyway. This tactic is often done when you lose the first round on the attacker side, but you got the plant, so you just have enough money to buy some guns. Full buy, I really don't have to explain this one. Next one, taking control. This strategy you use on the defender side, and it's when a player decides to push up a little bit to take control over a deep space of the map. For example, over here on Ascent. A lot of people would stay on site and defend like this, but in this round I decided to take control over A main and defend the side from A main.
One enemy.
Another defender side strategy is to stack a side. On the defender side you usually want to spread out the players over the map, but with stacking you go with 4 or even 5 players to one side of the map, set up a lot of crossfires and hope the enemies are just walking right into your trap. Crab tactic. This tactic is not very useful, but it's a tactic that a lot of strat roulette players will do. It goes like this: when the round starts you gotta press crouch and you're never gonna stop crouching in the whole round. A more useful play is the ping and shoot. I think most of us have already done it because it's one of the best tactics in the game, but in the post plant, if the enemies are defusing the spike, simply ping the spike and shoot through a wall or smoke.
Nice.
Yes. Something that looks a lot like the ping and shoot but is a bit different is the classical wall bang or spray through smoke. With this tactic you have to keep one thing in mind: if you're not sure if an enemy is behind the smoke, you should tap fire where you think the head will be. This way, if you connect the shot, it will be a headshot. Oh! But on the other hand, if you know for sure that an enemy is behind the smoke, because he's also shooting through it for example, then you should spray roughly where you think he is and hope multiple bullets connect. And one more wallbang tactic, it's the info and shoot. This is when you first get info with an ability, a Sofa Recon Dart or a Cypher Tripwire, and then shoot through a wall or smoke.
Play my wall.
Oh, it worked.
Distraction play. This tactic comes from Counter-Strike, because in Counter-Strike you have flashes. In Valorant you don't really have the classical flashes, but still some people like to do the distraction play, and that's before you're gonna peek, you gotta throw down your pistol. People might think it's a flash or they stress or something, and then you peek behind it. One-way smokes. I don't need to explain this one, but use the smoke so you only see the feet of the enemy, and the enemies won't be able to see you. The bug abuser tactic. This is the only tactic of this list that I highly would not recommend doing, but I mean, it's a tactic, but it's when you use bugs in the game. The reason why I don't recommend to use these is because it's not allowed by the game rules and you get banned, so don't do it. The next play is called the push and hold. It's when you play together with your teammate, usually on the defender side. Your teammate pushes up a little and goes for an aggressive angle, and you hold another angle from where your teammate can get killed. For example, here on Breeze, your teammate can push up to hold elbow, and you hold the window. Run and gun, hold your W button and don't stop. This trick works best with an SMG like a Spectre.
Run and gun, you mean? Run and gun, you mean?
The shotgun only tactic. This is when players decide to play only with shotgun. Sounds like a troll tactic, right? Well, this one could actually be pretty valuable. A lot of big YouTubers made it all the way to Immortal with this tactic. Some even only with the shorty. And on the bright side, you always have enough money to drop guns to your teammates. The rotate play. This one doesn't need much explanation. With this play, you push one side, maybe use some abilities over there, and then rotate to the other side. Playtime. This is something you probably heard your teammates saying a lot, and that's when you're in the post plant on the attacker side, usually in a 1v1 or 1v2, and all you gotta do is playtime, delay the peak as long as possible, so if you die in the end, hopefully the enemies don't have any time to defuse the spike. Caterpillar tactic. This is one of the more fun tactics. If you play a smoker and you want to enter a site, place a lot of smokes back to back, so it looks a bit like a caterpillar, then enter the site and easy peasy plant for you. Teleport tricky. All the OG fans know this strategy by now. Throw something through the teleporter, the door will open, and easy peasy kills.
Teleport tricky.
Play for lineups. With this tactic in the post plant, you're gonna find a safe spot. Wait till you hear the enemies defusing the spike, do a lineup, and hope to get a kill while they are defusing.
One enemy remaining.
And then we have the off angles / strange angles. Try to get the enemy from spots where they don't expect you, like over here.
See this headshot?
Whoa, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Congrats, my friend. If you all the way got to this point and this video got you some value, consider subscribing on the channel. We're trying to get more than little love, and with your help we might be able to do it. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.